Given the right amount of means and money and privilege, I truly believe that everyone should move to a new city at least once in their life. Not just for a new job or just the experience of being alone in a brand new city and exploring and doing all that different stuff, but for the sheer mindfuck of the prices. How dare society make it so hard and so pricey to just move out of your hometown? I just want to experience life somewhere, either temporarily or permanent, that is outside of my home city. Why am I obligated to pay for 4 days worth of time with a U-Haul truck when I only used it for 14 hours? I feel like this constitutes robbery in some senses. Like, U-Haul, I really want that money back. So for those of you that have recently subscribed to my channel and are new here, hello. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate it. I was on a hiatus. I had decided to go on hiatus for a couple of months while I was looking for a new job, as well as finding some just new and unique content for the channel. But also, I moved myself as well as my partner 600 miles from our hometown to Atlanta. Yay! We've been here for about 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, and I am so grateful to have had the experience of just being a part of the different types of festivals, the different restaurants here. The food's been great. I really love that we're in a walkable space, and I am just so absolutely grateful for the connections as well as the systems that are in place to just kind of help us settle in. I originally made this plan with my business coach actually a year ago to decide and to take action for me to move. And this took so much courage, so much tenacity, and so much planning, and I still am in awe. I cannot believe that we actually did this successfully. We originally made the plan to execute this move around the time of my birthday because that was an awesome present to give to myself, and naturally, chaos and anxiety ensued. The process of actually making it down here was a lot more chaotic than I originally thought it was going to be. Normally, it takes about a 7.5 hour drive from Missouri to get to Atlanta. This time, with all of our shit thrown in the back of the U-Haul, it took at least 8 hours for us to actually converge our stuff together in the U-Haul truck, and then 12 hours to drive through torrential rains, through a storm to get here. I can say with my whole chest that I will not be driving any long distances anytime soon. It's not happening. But for now, we get to enjoy the sights, the attractions, the food, the walks to the parks, our neighbors, and car rides through all the rich neighborhoods, and plan for how long it'll take to get that $2 million house in Buckhead. So today's video is a little update on my life and how things are going in the style of an AMA. And the biggest question that I feel that I've gotten, including from my own mother, is why Atlanta? Speaking of which, one of my friends had sent me a tweet the other day about how all Atlanta is strip clubs, hookah bars, and traffic. And I beg to differ. We are a 3-hour drive from the coast at the least, and that is way much better than being in the swamp, soggy river bottom of a city that I will not name. It is cooler here than it is back home. This is how it's been since I was a kid, and just it's getting worse with climate change. I remember when I got off the plane last month after visiting our new place, it was like breathing in secondhand traffic fumes and just a little sprinkle of sea salt. Back at home, you were sitting with this huge blob of water on your chest. It feels so heavy, you can barely breathe. I prefer the former over the latter. This is a place that I haven't really experienced enough as an adult. So this was just past my comfort zone of somewhere where I can live, but it's also an hour plane ride if I need to get my mom down here. So now I get to experience the full Atlanta flair with all the strip clubs, bars, the hookah bars, and the traffic. So the next steps of our transition is really to make sure that we unpack all of the boxes that you cannot see and really get settled, start networking, and really meeting and just jiving with some of the other people that I have met online that I would really love to connect with a little bit more, and find really good brunch places that aren't crowded. And if you're thinking about making a move to a new city, here are a couple of things that I advise you to do before you actually take the jump. Make sure that you do your research for the neighborhoods that you feel aligned with in that new city, and find a library or a club or some type of meetup group that will help you find friends and network and find all the cool places in the city. Also use a price calculator to compare the price points of your hometown versus your new city. Last but not least, make sure that you include your boxes and packing materials in your moving budget. I almost forgot about that until I started buying boxes, and I brought too many down that were empty, and then realized I had 4 boxes remaining and they're just sitting in a closet. I don't know what to do with them. So hopefully that answered some of your big questions. Now let's go to Twitter and Instagram, where I asked you all to give me questions, and I appreciate everybody that decided to respond. Do you get nervous during a job interview? How do you handle the pressure of being on camera or during presentations? That is a really good question. I love being able to sit on camera and act like I'm talking to a friend. It's a lot easier just to pretend like I'm having wine and socializing with a specific friend when I'm trying to talk on camera, because it is a little nerve-wracking that like I'm literally just like staring at this little eye that's staring at me, and it's just a fun contest of like whether or not I need to like close my eyes a little bit more often, and just making sure that I remember my lines while I'm actually saying something to you. So it can be really nerve-wracking when it comes to speaking or presenting, and public speaking isn't my best quality, but I typically pretend that I am talking to my partner or a friend with wine in my hand, so it's not too much pressure. When it comes to job interviews, I absolutely get nervous. That is just a no-brainer that if I am talking or just listening during an interview, I'm just like, like, what else are you supposed to do? The need to perform and be impressive and perfect during these interviews just is a lot of pressure and expectations. So I always think about it as if I am doing my best to talk to a friend about my experience. If you're able to kind of pivot the conversation towards a project that gives the best examples of what the question is prompting, definitely go for that. Make sure that you have all of your notes for what you're talking about in terms of your project, what you've done, how you were doing it, what decisions that you made when it comes to your project, and what you plan on working on next with your project. I think those are the best ways to keep the ball in your court and not make it so nerve-wracking. What's my favorite project that I've worked on thus far, whether for work or personal? I'm a Kingdom Hearts fanatic. Kingdom Hearts is my favorite video game series in the whole wide world. I'm working on an app right now that is a task app, and so I'm gonna like break this down with like really nerdy stuff. So you have all the Keyblade bearers. You have Sora, Roxas, Riku, Kairi, everybody. So you have characters from each of the worlds, like Winnie the Pooh or Rabbit or Orin or Leon or whoever, and these people that are from different distinct worlds will be able to go through the process of logging in and being able to request a task that needs to be done for that specific world. And so the Keyblade Masters can actually go in and pick what tasks that they want. They can send them in queue. You can see which tasks are being in progress, which ones aren't done yet, which ones haven't been picked yet. And so that is currently in progress, and I think I have had a really fun time being able to design it. However, it is really hard to execute some of this stuff just because I want it to be perfect. And I know for a fact that it's not going to be perfect anytime soon, but it's something that I hope to go forward with a project that I'm doing on the side. Next.js is what I'm working with, React, TypeScript. And so I am figuring out the process right now of how that's going to go. But yeah, it's not perfect. I just have to accept the fact that it's not going to be. For work-wise, when it comes to a project, I don't have anything specific when it comes to work projects. I think that being able to collaborate with the work that I've done kind of outside of like my 9 to 5 has been really nice. Again, like it's been a privilege and an honor to be with the Ladybug podcast. That's something that I really enjoy and really love doing. Being able to teach is such a privilege. I've been able to do that with Launch Code, and that has been so great. And the mentorship and the students that I meet have been awesome. And so that's, I guess, a project that I've been professionally working on. What are your work from home essentials? Okay, so I really love that I spent all of that money on my new M1 MacBook Pro. I don't normally tell people to like go and splurge on computers and things, but since I'm also coding, I'm also editing videos as well as audio files for the podcast, and managing different YouTube channels. I really appreciate the power and speed and efficiency that I get from a MacBook Pro, so I'll just say that. I also really love my planner because I need to plan in my life. I have this undated journal from Hemlock and Oak. It is a weekly as well as monthly planner, and they do some really great work in the prompts that they have about like mindset and goal setting and productivity habits. They really do a good job when it comes to making sure that the priority for planning all of these things is self-care and your mindset first. I'm going to keep using this for as long as I can. I have a couple of other journals that I really love. Midori is another brand. It's a Japanese brand that I really love, and they do so much efficient work with the journals. And yeah, those are the things that I have as work from home essentials. Do you foresee yourself staying as a software engineer for the rest of your tech career? No. I think that I really want to eventually start kind of figuring out what else I want to do when it comes to that intersection of tech as well as productivity and mindset. And I think one of the best ways that I would be able to kind of perform that task with much more autonomy, as well as being able to inspire others, is potentially becoming a Scrum Master and or an Agile coach. But right now I'm focused on just the smaller goals that I have until I'm about 30, 32 max, and then I'll see kind of where I want to go from there. We'll see what happens, but I don't know yet. I really don't, but check in when I'm 32. What are the top 3 things you've been looking for in companies while on the job hunt? Great question. Psychological safety is one of them, and be able to organize and efficiently communicate in a way that is safe and confident to me, but also to clearly communicate to others. I also look for a deep sense of mentorship because teaching is very important to me, and that is the way that I grow and also give back to my community by teaching others. My third one, I think the most obvious choice is to be able to work remotely from home, because I want to be able to be in my space, but also be able to freely just be able to successfully just be productive in my own home without too much face-to-face contact and being distracted by like other people and socializing and things. But I do kind of want the flexibility that if I can go into an office somewhere, then I do that sometimes. Those are the biggest 3 things. They seem kind of generic, but I think that they're important. Outside of YouTube, what was something that you put to the side because of the move that you're happy to do again? Baking. Baking is one of those small things, I feel like, where you have so much autonomy and yet so much control over what the product looks like. I give a bunch of ingredients the time and space that they need to either sit in a pan, in a mixing bowl. You do a couple of things with it. You add a little bit of this, you add a little bit of that, and then somehow after you get it out of the oven, it is this nice, hot, fresh, melt in your mouth creation. Gosh, oh, yummy. Everything about baking is almost a mindless task, but also just very soothing and just very controlled. And you have a certain amount of steps to be able to get to this goal. And I really like that that's very attainable. But then you can also just like mix it up whenever you feel like it. What are some red flags to look for when going through an employment process? What did your last job teach you? Okay, this is definitely a two-part question. So the first one, red flags to look for when going through the process of like job searching and employment. Too much overhead when it comes to like management and different things. Some places don't necessarily say that that's a thing, but that's why I ask the question in all of my interviews, what do you not like about this particular company or your particular job? Because that normally spills the beans, or they kind of go onto the opposite side of everything that they love. So you kind of get a mixed bag with that, but it's just good to ask. When it comes to what my last job taught me, it's always going to be good to just cover your ass. Make sure that you record everything that you've done every day, who you've talked to, what questions that you had, what wins that you had, what lessons that you learned, what broke, what you fixed, what you deployed, what you didn't deploy. This is a part of making sure that you're able to put down on record what you've been able to do when it comes to your performance levels. So that gives you an advantage on whether or not you can ask for promotions or different places to transition to when it comes to lateral moves in the future. And it's just really important, just so like, you know, nobody says anything crazy about like what you've been doing. Definitely keep a developer journal. Make sure that you cover your ass with all those records. And that's my spiel. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I really appreciate you coming back, seeing me. I appreciate everybody that has told me happy birthday and well wishes. I appreciate all the love that I've been getting. I am back. I don't know exactly when I'm going to drop this video, but it's coming out soon, so make sure you stay tuned, and stay tuned for more of the other creative things that I have up my sleeve going on with content. So thank you so much. I will see you later, and you have a good week.